going to be about the compost. You asked for it, so we're going to tell you from where it starts, from the horse's bum, or even before that where it starts with the food for the horses, then the horse, then it comes here and we turn it all into compost. This video is going to tell you how we do the entire process. So watch if you want to learn how to make compost.
Is it poop? Is it a pile of rotting vegetables? No. Compost is actually a sped-up process of decomposition, resulting in a nutrient-rich fertilizer that is great for soil or plants. When we compost, we take a natural process from Mother Earth, speed it up, and use it to our advantage. Compost is actually nicknamed black gold by some farmers, as it improves soil health and the efficiency of agriculture. Why should we even compost? It takes time and effort. You might be better off just buying store-bought fertilizer from the gardening center, right? Wrong! Compost is great for so many reasons. Firstly, compost reduces food waste immensely. Here at the finca, all of our food waste goes directly to the compost. This means that none of it ends up in the landfill. Did you know that food scraps and garden waste make up 28% of what we throw away? Composting means that this organic material avoids the landfill, and that addresses a way larger problem too. When organic material reaches the landfill, it's unable to go through the natural process of decomposition. There is generally not enough oxygen or the right conditions for it to happen. So instead of decomposing and turning into valuable natural material, this anaerobic decomposition creates biogas. What is biogas, you ask? Biogas is 50% carbon dioxide and 50% methane, both of which are incredibly potent greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming. Landfills are a huge contributor to methane production. So, by creating compost, we are also benefiting the natural world by avoiding this greenhouse gas production. So that explains why composting is good for the environment. But if that's not enough, I'll explain to you why it's also good for you, personally. So compost contains nutrients that crops thrive on: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. While synthetic fertilizers may contain the same nutrients, they do so in a combination with very harsh chemicals. Compost is natural. It'll enrich your soil and has even proven to improve water retention, soil productivity, and soil resiliency. So, in turn, this also means that using compost will decrease water usage in agriculture or personal gardening. So there you have it. Compost will not only help the environment by reducing natural waste in landfills, but it could also substantially improve soil and plant health in your personal garden or agricultural production process. Our composting process starts with the main reason that we're all here: the horses. Every day we push wheelbarrows and wheelbarrows of horse poop up the ramp. Our average horse, that weighs about 350 to 400 kilos, will produce between 16 to 20 kilos of manure a day. We have 18 horses on the finca, so on any odd day we shovel about 300 kilos of horse poop a day, and all of it goes to the compost. We have a dedicated team that works on our compost lines 5 days a week, constantly moving the compost to speed up the process of decomposition. Kitchen scraps are brought up multiple times a day and combined with the immense load of horse poop. The compost process at the finca takes about 3 months to finish. Each line is left for 2 weeks and then moved. In the end, we're left with super rich compost that feeds our gardens. How you can make compost at home. This will heavily depend on the natural products that are available to you. Because of our environment, we have to make compost in a way that applies to us. Our environment is really dry, windy, and hot. And we have a lot of horse poop. So we'll walk you through this tutorial with an open mind and consider what other materials could replace what we use here. Step 1. Start with your dry, brown ingredients. For this, of course, we use horse poop. If you don't have this readily available, which I understand if you don't, you could use dry leaves, tree branches, hay, straw, wood shavings, or even an old newspaper. Step 2. Add your wet, green ingredients. For this, we use our kitchen scraps, and you can too. This is the step that allows you to reduce your personal food waste, which is wonderful. The best brown to green ratio is 3 parts brown and 1 part green. So, step 3. You have to add just the right amount of water so that your compost is watered but not waterlogged. Too much water will mean that your pile will rot instead of compost. A super important part of your compost is the temperature of your pile. The temperature inside should be between 40 and 70 degrees at varying phases of the compost cycle. If it's too hot, the bacteria won't be able to carry out their processes, and if it's not warm enough, then the processes can't even begin. Step 4. Stir up your pile at least once a week and ensure that there's no significantly larger pieces. You'll know it's finished when it stops giving off heat and is dry and crumbly. Now, it's perfect for your garden. Here are some tips from our in-house compost expert, Chiara, who studied environmental science and wrote her thesis on compost.
So, the first important thing to make compost at home is to prepare a grid made of dry sticks, like a base, to separate the compost from the ground to improve the ventilation. Second tips is to not add a lot of proteins like fish or meat. Third thing is to put in the compost a lot of dry sticks or leaves to keep the moisture under control. The fourth tip is just to move the compost at least once a day to improve the ventilation and to avoid the bad process like rotting. Good luck with your compost.
I hope you enjoyed our video about compost. I enjoyed this one. I didn't have a lot to do with filming it at all. In fact, it was all a total surprise, and I learned a lot because I really don't have a lot to do with the compost other than picking up the horse poo and feeding the horses. So I hope you learned as much as me, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. And as always, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell, and we'll see you next week.